when we talk about the censorship that's happening and the attack on our freedom of speech, actually like the attack just on our freedoms in general, what's going on, I mean, it's scary. And people have to understand that you could wake up one day and that right is completely stripped away from you. And the implications that have is really terrifying, because if you don't have the free flow of information, you don't know what information you're being fed is actually real or not. If you don't have the ability to go out and debate and discuss like policies that are coming down the pipeline, how do we progress? How do we innovate? How do we make change when we only have access to one set of information that one group of people wants to completely control? That's what happens in authoritarian countries. That's what happens when the leader wants to be like rule with totalitarianism. And that is what has separated America. That is that fundamental freedom that our founding fathers came here to fight for. They put it in the Constitution, and now that is completely under attack, and it's really scary.
Well, Amy Robbins, thanks for coming on the pod today.
Of course. This is so much fun. Great setup.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Came all the way down from lovely, Prosper, right? Is that
I was in Plano today.
Today. Okay.
Yeah,
all right. Not too far.
Not too far from where I was. Yeah.
We got connected through MCBA, right? Isn't that kind of where we first started talking?
I think so. As I'm like... I feel like this was just such a blossoming friendship that
sure.
I was trying to think, when did we meet? No, it had to have been through MCBA.
Maybe.
Yeah. Which brought together so many awesome people in Dallas.
It's truly incredible.
Yeah.
I had lunch today actually with Brent Ryan.
Okay,
Brent's obviously involved in MCBA, and we were talking all about that. So phenomenal organization, but that's how we got connected. And before we dive into all things on your amazing career journey and all the entrepreneurial things that you've been doing, I'd love to tell a little bit to the audience, a little bit about you and kind of like where you came from. Okay. And we can start, as far back as you like, but...
Well, I think a great place to start would be the fact that you said Prosper. So that's Prosper, actually Texas? Where I grew up, from junior high on.
It looks a little different than when you grew up.
Completely different. Actually, this whole area looks completely different wild. Because there was no stoplight.
No.
All the way. I used to work at Collin Creek Mall. My first job was, I think I was 16 years old, American Eagle, Collin Creek Mall. Remember that place?
Oh, yeah.
I don't even think it's there anymore. I could make
kind of like Valley View Mall.
Oh, yeah.
Not really there anymore.
Not really there anymore. So I could get from my house in Prosper all the way to Collin Creek Mall in 20 minutes going the speed limit. Think about that. You can't even get to 121 now in 20 minutes. You can't even get to 121 in 20 minutes. Yeah, all the way to Collin Creek Mall in 20 minutes.
Wow. American Eagle, huh?
Oh, yeah. American Eagle. I've always had an affinity for the retail industry. Yeah. I honestly wanted to do something. And I mean, I wanted to be a model when I was this big. And my mom and dad were like, absolutely not. They did not want me in that industry.
You did.
Whatsoever. But I loved it. I loved the artistic expression of it. And it's so funny because I am not an artist. I don't know why I thought I was going to design clothes. I still to this day, even owning an apparel company, my husband would have to sketch things out. It's I would always come up with the ideas, but I would have to find and put the right people in place to execute on those ideas because I was not the artist. My older sister was the artist.
Yeah.
But it was funny because I was always, even from second grade on, I remember I was always wanting to be involved in things on solving problems for people.
Interesting.
My favorite thing at school was doing the invention convention.
Okay.
So I was inventing things. I mean, they weren't great things, but I was inventing things ever since, I was in the second grade. And I always knew, my dad tells this story very vividly. He's like, Amy, kids always ask their parents, why is the sky blue? Why is this? Yeah. I asked my dad what I needed to be the boss when I grow up.
Interesting.
I think that meant more what do I need to be able to have my own business? I was just always wanted to have a business. And even as a young kid, I was throwing like the garage sales for the neighborhood. I was doing the popcorn stands. I was trying
doing some lemonade.
Like never knowing.
Did we sell Girl Scout cookies?
I never did Girl Scouts.
Okay.
No, I never did Girl Scouts. I was really big into soccer. I played club soccer forever. And so it was real, that took up like all of my time.
Sure.
But, there was just this entrepreneurial spirit to want to help people and solve problems, but also just to kind of like do my own thing. Yeah. And that did not take shape until way later in my life. I think a lot of entrepreneurs or people look at entrepreneurs and they think, you know what, that person just always knew what they wanted to do. No, not necessarily like that. I think we're just looking for opportunity and we're looking for, and there's different types of entrepreneurs, but for me, it was like always looking for opportunity, always looking for ways that I could solve problems and help people, make people's lives a little bit easier.
Now, was your dad an entrepreneur? Was he a business owner?
So it's really funny. Like he would have been probably. I mean, he always has like really great ideas. He got called into the ministry though when he was young. So we grew up and my dad was in the ministry. And but he always instilled very good values of hard work. He always let me run with my ideas. I was always very encouraging to crazy ideas that I had. And I think that was important. I think that was important for my parents to be supportive of anything, any path that we wanted to go down. My dad always said, like, love Jesus and do whatever you want. And I was like, all right, that's great. That's great advice, Dad. Thank you.
Right.
Because, then I didn't feel pressure to just do one path or like go down one way. So that was, I always say like I was a small town girl with big town dreams. And so I knew that I wasn't going to stay in a small town for very long. Yeah. But I did go 7th through 12th grade. I graduated from Prosper, went on to Texas A&M.
And how did that come about? Were you chasing a boy down there?
No, not at all, actually. My friend took me to an Aggie football game.
Okay.
When I was in 6th grade, I think. And there was just something about the Aggie spirit that I absolutely loved.
Incredible.
It is incredible. We had no Aggies in my family. I was not a legacy Aggie.
Okay.
And back then, legacy was very important at A&M. I think it's kind of veered away from that a little bit because so many kids that are going there now.
Yeah, for sure.
So I knew like I just had to be in the top 10%. Like that was...
Yeah.
At that point, you just get into that top 10%. You can go anywhere you want to in state, But yeah, I loved the traditions. I loved the football games were so much fun. And
now, you never dated one of the milkmen or any of that.
Oh no! Oh my goodness, no! Or like the yell leaders and no. It's funny. I actually didn't date any. I didn't date anybody at A&M while I was there. My husband that I'm married to now, we've known each other since we were 7 years old.
What?
So yeah,
7?
we were best friends.
I knew y'all knew each other a long time, but I didn't realize it went back.
I didn't start dating until college and then got married like right after college. So yeah. We had, cool and it's funny because, at A&M is a very traditional school. And so it's very common for people at that school to do this and and go get married. And that's what we did.
That's what you did.
So yeah.
So how long have you been married now?
18 years.
Unbelievable.
18 years, 2 kids later. Yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
So when you're at A&M, what are we studying?
Oh, okay. Interesting. So I got into the business school right away. I was in their marketing. I was in their marketing.
I see that.
I didn't know what I was going to, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. It was just like business sounds good. I'll get a good business foundation. I wanted to do so much, Conrad. Like I'm
surprised you weren't like a communications major because like you're incredible at obviously public speaking.
Well, thank you. I did love to public speak, and I was always running for student body president, and I was always running for like every position that you could possibly, anything that would get me out there like in front speaking. But I also loved doing television, and I wanted to do something. I didn't necessarily want to act. I really thought I wanted to be on, there was a channel called News One. I wanted to be like a news anchor and or sports broadcasting. And that just always looked a little different, but I also knew how hard that path was. So I wanted like a stable career, to actually make some money instead of having to wait tables. So I actually was in the business school, but then I was also taking all my sciences as electives. So I have a science background. And I actually decided to go to dental hygiene school when I was 19.
Interesting.
So interesting, right? So I did that.
You got great teeth, by the way.
I did that. Thank you. You know what? Like I think it went back to like wanting to help people though. Like I really enjoy like being in places that put me where I could talk to people and allowed me to help people as well. But I knew that wasn't really going to be my long-term like path.
Okay.
Just didn't know what that was. Yep. And on the side, I had still been auditioning for different things. And I won this contest in Dallas back in 2012. I'm trying to think back. This is a long time ago.
I know.
Like, how long ago was this? Won this contest for D Magazine.
Okay.
Get a call out of the blue from a production company. And they were filming a new show. And they said, so wild. They were like, you don't happen to be a gun person, do you? And I was like, what kind of production company is this?
Yeah, right.
Like, there was nothing in my life. If you would have looked at, I mean, we didn't even have like Facebook, but if we had social media back then, there would have been nothing in my social media that would have led you to have believed I was the person you probably should be going after for this show, right?
You weren't out shooting shotguns.
No, I was not a hunter. I didn't have a military background or a law enforcement background.
Not a military wife.
No, I mean, it was like I was pretty heavily involved at that point, like in the fashion industry. I was writing and producing some a talent management agency that I had started at one point because I was doing some reality. That's when reality TV was really big. I'd been writing and producing some of that. Yeah. I was managing a musician and traveling all over with him, like managing his career. Yeah, it's crazy. And
you got to tell me about this musician. I mean, who is said musician?
So his name is Steve Carlson, and I think he's still around. He is. Had a really interesting run with these. I don't know if you remember the show Supernatural.
Yes.
Okay, so Supernatural has a really big built-in fan base, and they do these conferences all over. He was good friends with a couple of the actors, like the stars of the show. So he would always play the music at all these conferences, and he just built this really loyal fan base all over the world. And he would travel all over, do these private events. And I was like, this sounds like fun. Like, I don't know anything about the music industry, but you give me a task, like I will figure out how to do it, you know?
Yeah.
So I was planning all these concerts for him.
So you were just like general manager.
Oh yeah. I was booking him stuff though. Like I would be calling all these places. I was getting him booked. I would be having to plan all of these private events, and like it was so much fun. And little did I know all this event planning was going to come in handy
later in life.
Way later on in life. And really all the connections that I made in all these different industries over time really coalesced into kind of where I am today. And I tell people this all the time. I'm like, you don't just focus on what it is that you're doing. Focus on the people that you're meeting and form those relationships. Because if I did not have the relationships that I had, it would have been very hard to get things off the ground when I, started my company. And so, I just met a lot of really interesting people.
You did.
Went to a lot of interesting places. I mean, it was a lot of fun. Yeah. And then I was like, I don't know if this talent management, they're artists are divas, you know? That's right. And it was like, I just don't know if this is
so you get the call about the Second Amendment.
Yeah, get this call, and their question was, are you pro-gun? That could go either way. When you don't know who is on the other line of this phone, I'm like, I don't understand. Like, why are you asking me? What is this in regards to? Like, you know, are you wanting to do like a view? And I'm like the only pro-gun person, and I'm just going to get annihilated by all these like anti-gun people. I just didn't know what I was walking into. And they said, no, actually, it's quite different than that. We are wanting to show kind of how millennials fit firearms into their life in this day and age, and just come and just audition. And so initially it was just to audition to be on the panel, like a whole panel of people. Okay. And by the time I left the audition, they offered me the job on the spot to just host the show with me and the guy that it was about him. It was his show. He had a huge YouTube following that was just like taking off. I had never heard of him before. And we just had such great rapport, and we were having so much fun. And I was like, I guess you and me are going to talk about firearms and this journey into this firearm world, you know?
So that's when it started.
That's when it started. And got the bug. Loved hosting because I loved so many elements of bringing different people on from the industry that I could just dive into their story and find out more about them. And I started really to learn what was missing in the industry itself, especially when it came to speaking to women like me, who I found out very quickly there's a really large group of women out there that care about their safety, that do want to learn about firearms. There's just not a lot of resources or people talking to them about it that look like them.
Yeah.
Work like them, dress like that,
Yeah, there's not a lot of firearms magazines for women.
Back then there weren't. There are a lot more now, I will tell you that. And it's been really fun to watch the evolution of seeing like more women get into the space, and they're focusing on things very differently than the guys focus on it. It's more on the self-reliant standpoint. It's the safety. It's the family safety. It's the how do I fit this into my body without, or like into my lifestyle without really changing everything about my life. Like we just look at it and then how do I make sure that I'm storing it safely and keep my children safe? So just things that they weren't really getting spoken to from the industry. And so that's one thing that I am very, very grateful for, that I just kind of dove in and started learning.
And how long did you do that for then?
I did that show for a couple of years.
Yep.
And then right on the heels of that, there was another production company that was starting up, basically an HSN, but for outdoor enthusiasts.
Okay.
And so they're like, you want to do live TV? And I'm like, yes, I do. I am terrified about this, but I think that's a good place to be. Like, go and do things that scare you.
Yes.
So they said, do you want to go and sell like outdoor stuff, primarily like be on the firearms side? And I'm like, why not? Like, this is a skill that will translate into so many things. Learning how to roll with the punches and ad-lib and be very confident whether you mess up or not. Like, it was such a good life-building skill for me to go and do live television, because I feel now it would take a lot for me to say no to an opportunity that I...
Clearly, Kamala did not get the same type of... Oh, sorry. We're going to keep that in the
what? Every politician should go and do live TV.
They should do live TV.
With no prompter.
That's right. No teleprompter.
No teleprompter, because I'm telling you, that is very terrifying. When you actually have to know your stuff. You got to study. You have to... Right. You have to know, like... You got to play off your partner that's on TV. I mean, and then you watch that little red dot that's just glaring at you the entire time. And you're, and like, they hear everything I say.
That's right.
And so it was like a very good, uncomfortable place.
What was the name of this show?
It's called Gun TV. Actually. Gun TV? Yep, it was called Gun TV.
Pretty simple.
Didn't last very long. Okay. The people that were behind it, I loved their intentions. I thought it was great, but they did not take into account the complexities in the firearm industry for selling guns across state lines, or the fact that, you can't just be up at 2:00 in the middle of the night in New York and buy a gun. You still have to find an FFL. And that gun... You can only sell guns in certain states that, like California has a list a mile long of approved firearms. So like you would have to then put on your TV screen, anyone except for those in California, or, so there were just a lot of complexities that they didn't think through, and God bless them. They had a great idea, but it didn't last very long.
But you got some live TV experience.
I got live TV experience, made great friendships with all the other hosts that were on the show. Everyone came from extremely different backgrounds, which was a lot of fun. And it just opened up so many doors. I mean, it was so many doors that, and it was actually on that show that my experience happened that led to the creation of my company. And I was thinking, oh, well, this would be a great place to sell my product. I mean, here I am, the host of a live TV show. This is going to be great. I have no money for marketing, but I'll just sell the product on right here on this show. You know, shows you how I knew absolutely nothing about what I was about to get into. So, but regardless.
That's right.
Regardless, it was just, it was this mindset. It was the opportunities that presented itself. And then when my situation happened, had I not been in that position to know what the market needed, or know that I was solving a problem for a lot of women that I was coming in contact with, I never even would have thought about creating an activewear line that allowed women to conceal carry, or to carry their tools on their body.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about that journey, that really, how you got into it. I think there was an actual incident that occurred.
There was.
That's why that led to the...
Yep. So there was, I went out running one day. I was training for a marathon and the Dallas Marathon, which was the White Rock Marathon at that point.
Right.
And I was up in Prosper. I was on the back roads that I ran every single day.
Yep.
So, but you have to remember back then, there was still not a lot of construction. There was still a lot of deserted roads, very secluded areas, right? So, but nothing.
Some cornfields out there.
Lots of cornfields, lots of just pastures, barbed wire fences, and I loved that. That's actually what I loved about running out there because it was quiet. It was where I could do my thinking. It was where I could go and just like clear my head. Well, this day was a little bit different. I remember I was turning around the corner and I heard a car in the distance and, your ears perk up because you're not used to hearing cars out there. So I turn around and I look at it and all of a sudden there was this big white van that was behind me that it started getting closer and closer. And as it got closer to me, it started slowing down. And they slowed down enough. They were rolling down their windows. And that's when the aggressive catcalling and just harassing happened. And I didn't have a phone with me. I didn't have any tools on my body. I was not even thinking in the lines of like carrying self-defense tools at this point in my life because nothing had ever happened to me. I'd always felt safe, right? And so this day, I'm there doing this and I just kept thinking the only thing I could really do is just maybe project confidence and pray and hope that they go away because it's 7-on-1 at this point.
Right.
They go to the end of the road and they circled back. And when they circled back was when just all my alarms started going off. I'm like, are you kidding me? What happens if? And women get in these situations and think very differently than men. I remember going home and asking my husband, have you ever felt like scared on a run or felt like, something might happen? He's like, never even crossed my mind. And that day, as they were coming back, I was like, God, just please let them drive off. Please let me get home and I will do something with my second chance. Just please let them go away. And luckily my story ended there. So I tell people all the time, I got to go home and get a second chance. Whereas there's plenty of women these days, and we're hearing about it now on national news, that the female joggers don't make it home safe. And so when I got home, I started doing some research. And actually, I called my buddy and I was like, give me my license to carry now. I need to sign up for a class.
Right.
I'm comfortable with firearms. I'd been trained. I actually got my trainer certification. So I was very, very comfortable with that. Got trained, got my firearm. And then I started researching how many other women had this happened to. And Runner's World had just done a study that said 80% of women walkers and runners had felt like their safety was threatened at some point. I'm like, okay, it's pretty big. That's a lot.
Yeah.
50% of them carry some form of self-defense tool. And I knew that concealed carry was on its way up. The last study, though, had been in 2017, and it was up 500% since then. It's even higher now. So the opportunity is even bigger now. So I said, okay, cool. I got my firearm. I got my training. Now where do I carry it?
Right.
Surely somebody has thought of this, I'm like looking at Lulu and Nike. They don't have holsters in their pants,
No.
That's just gonna, throw that out there for everybody. Yeah. My other option was a fanny pack, a chest rig, just all these things that just didn't seem to fit into my lifestyle. And I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna do this, I need it to be comfortable.
Especially for a model.
It's gotta.
You don't want
to look good.
You don't want a fanny pack.
I think fanny packs are so in right now. But at this point, I just wanted it to seamlessly integrate into my life, and I needed it. I needed them to look as good as the current athletic wear that I was wearing.
Think if you talk to most people that do concealed carry, you want it to be concealed and it's comfortable.
Yes, you want it comfortable.
You don't want it just flashed out there.
I mean, I don't. I personally did not want that. And so, it started me on a 2-year journey of R&D. So once I found out there was nothing on the market, I'm like, I think we got something here. So I present this idea and I'm like, all right, I'm going to create the first concealed carry activewear brand on the market where our entire message of our brand is going to empower women to be able to take the tools that they need and use them in their life to feel confident, whatever that looks like. It doesn't just have to be about the firearm. This is about having pockets and places to store things that help you live confidently in your life. You're just going to look good doing it. And it was so wildly different than anything that was going on in the firearm space at that point. And it was very different from anything that was going on in the athletic space. We're fusing these two worlds together. And lo and behold.
So you're getting like some Lulu and you're like sewing things
the biggest compliment that we got was actually, was it Yahoo Finance or maybe AOL News? I can't remember. One of them called us the Lululemon of the gun world. And I said, you know what? Wow. I will take that.
I bet you will.
All day long. But yes, actually, my friend owned an athletic company and he was like, we shut down. I have like 10,000 boxes of leggings. Just take what you need and start like sewing things together. But the problem was like, it wasn't reinforced enough.
Yeah, right.
It would flop over. Right. I mean, we had to do a lot of reconstruction on several iterations.
Now, were you savvy with a sewing machine at this point?
No.
Have you become savvy?
No, because I don't. I have factories that do all that. No, see, that is the misconception that people think that stops people from, I think, going for their dreams. Is they're like, well, I can't do this. Well, then go find people that can.
Sure.
Go and find the people that can do it. I am surrounded by way more people that can do everything better than me.
These hats, by the way. I'm not sewing them.
You're not embroidering them?
I'm not embroidering them myself.
I mean, you got to find the people that are way better than you at the things that you are not good with, or you're going to waste a lot of time. Now, my husband really wanted to learn the ins and outs of everything, and I was like, we just don't have time for this. Like, let's go. But there were endless nights of going to Hobby Lobby. We're like, should we do like magnets? Should we like Velcro? Now we were like gluing that stuff.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was so makeshift, but we had to get some sort of prototype that we could send to a designer who could drop the CAD images and then that could translate to a factory. I mean, just like, and then from there, you're still talking about like another 1.5 to 2 years just to get it right. Because no one in China knew what we were talking about. You want to carry a gun? Like they had no concept of what we were talking about. And, so, it took us 2017. Is that right? Yeah, we launched in 2017. So it took us about 2 years. And we weren't even ready when we went to market. So that's a whole nother story. So we had taken all this time. We thought we were ready. We were like, pretty close to ready. We'd put our order in, but it hadn't come in yet. And then there's delay after delay, which is very normal in this industry.
Yes.
But October of 2017, the Me Too movement launched. And we had already been prepping people within the firearm industry, like this is what is coming. And so I had a lot of friends that were already writing articles and stuff about us. And I was like, hey, you guys got to speed that up because there's some stuff going on right now in the media. Some women are really needing our product. We need to get this out there. We need to get this out to the masses. Yeah. And so I can't even remember who the first one was that picked us up or how it all blew up. But that month, we got a negative article written about us, and then it just snowballed from there. And it was a combination of like just hit piece after hit piece, and then also good media that was coming. Half the people said, I can't believe you're making sports gear for weapons. The other half was saying this is the most like innovative and creative thing. The problem was we didn't have any product. We had just built our website, and I was like, turn it on right now. Put it on back order, give everybody 20% off. I don't care. We're just crossing our fingers, hoping that the product that does come in is wearable, And so we sold out of everything that was on its way, turned on the back order so that anything we weren't able to fill, we were already able to put in a reorder for the product. And it just kind of like, it just snowballed from there. And every day, I remember me and my husband like looking at each other going, think we have a business? Like, I think, I think we have a business, And I remember the good old days. Like, we would handwrite every single customer a handwritten letter. And I still had people that take pictures of those and send those to us. We were getting handwritten letters. I don't even know how they were finding our home address, which is a little concerning, but we were getting handwritten letters from college girls, FBI agents telling us, like the college girls, like, thank you. I've never felt comfortable walking across campus. And I can carry my mace with me and my flashlight. So thank you for creating something that looks good. Same with the FBI agent. She was like, I don't get to wear functional clothing that looks good. Everything that I have is for the field, and I don't want to wear that when I get home. But like, thank you for helping me still continue to carry like the tools that I'm used to carrying, but now in a way that makes me feel feminine. And like it was just so neat.
Great.
Yeah, it was just so interesting, like to know that. And I can remember the first day we got an order, and it wasn't from like a friend or a family member. It was, I think, in like California or something. We're like, what? Someone bought our product that we don't know. Never heard of this person. Like, people don't understand how hard it is to convince other people to buy your product.
It is hard.
It is hard. It is very hard.
I am learning.
Yes, it is. It's hard. I think we had time on our side. Like, that was an advantage that we were the first ones to market. We were actually solving a problem that people were looking for, and they didn't even know that some of these women, as they were getting their license to carry, are starting to carry more self-defense tools, especially on their runs. Mm-hmm. As soon as they heard our product, they're, well, that's easy. Problem solved right there. We don't have to go buy all these other accessories and all this stuff. And then a lot of people just started buying the product because they loved the way that it fit. They loved that it lifts you up, sucks you in, and smooths you out. And you have just this great compression. And the fabric I was such a stickler on the fit and the fabric that we put, so much time. I sent back so many samples after samples that we probably could have been launched a lot sooner, but I was like, if we're going to charge $100-something for a pair of leggings, better be good.
They have to be perfect.
They have to be perfect. And then I remember one time we got a whole shipment in that was see-through. Had to send those back. And as a small business, when every bit of money you're making goes back into your product, like, having that delay time could cost you big time. Cost you big time. We ran into issue after issue after issue. It's amazing that we're still a business.
So when did the company officially launch?
In 2017. Yeah, October 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be. Yeah, it was right before Thanksgiving, or right before Halloween. So we're coming up on our 7th year anniversary, right now. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we were just happy to get past the first year. Actually, we were just happy to sell I was happy to sell one pair of leggings. We really wanted to sell the first 500 or however many whatever our minimum order was at that point. You just have sunk everything that you had to put into it. And you're like,
please.
Can we please just sell these leggings that we have?
So how many SKUs do you have today?
Gosh.
Ballpark.
30, 40.
Okay.
But including other color options. We've really scaled back.
Now, do y'all do more than just leggings?
We do, yeah.
Is it bras, sports bras too?
We do. They don't carry the firearms. So we have lifestyle pieces to pair with. Most of the stuff that is for the carrying needs are going to be built into the bottoms. So joggers, the leggings, shorts. We had skirts at one point. Sweatpants. Yeah, we've got all of that. And we've really scaled back. COVID did hurt. It hurt everybody. We saw a little spike right during the pandemic. And then after that, just cash flow. It hurt everybody. Retail is taking a big hit. We also are a premium luxury brand, and not everybody has the luxury right now to spend $100 on leggings that could save your life, but it is your life. I say it's worth at least going and getting a pair or two, or a pair of shorts, pair of leggings, because at the end of the day, if you are going to wear it and it will help you carry the tools that you feel confident with, then it's worth it.
Do we have boys line?
So we do. So
men's line.
The men's line. We do have a men's line. It was funny because the men's line took a lot longer to sell because we didn't advertise for it at all. We actually did a collab with Springfield Armory. That we thought we would sell through the men's stuff a lot faster. And we did. We sold through the men's stuff with them a lot faster, and then we sold their women's stuff a lot faster. But I do believe most of our men's stuff is sold out right now. And right now we're just choosing at this time just to continue to focus on the women's line for the time being. The men, I knew that the industry, the men were going to be a lot harder to convince because men have been carrying a lot longer than women have. And they're very particular about their clothing, their holsters, their positions. But I always say we go for the everyday man and woman. Not the people that are super tactical Tommy or tactical Tanya who, have their...
Yes.
They're
out the range.
But I will say they're the loudest when they hate you. They're the loudest that will hate on products online. And that's the unfortunate thing. There's so many good and bad things about social media. And, the ones who want to hate on it have always been the loudest on, even though it's only a handful, they'll just be the loudest about it. So Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
You're always going to have your haters.
You're always going to have the haters. And honestly, I'm like, the haters at this point have been the ones that kind of propelled so much for what we did that I can't.
So are you just selling online, or are you hosting?
It was not our business model to go wholesale. We always knew we wanted to be direct to consumer. We knew there was going to be challenges with both. And I think as we are facing the new landscape of retail, we do need to be nimble. But people don't understand that like the wholesale business is completely different. I mean, it's a completely different go-to-market strategy. It is a completely different strategy when you're planning for how much inventory that you're going to buy, there's, and a lot of people don't take any of this stuff into consideration when they start an apparel company. But we just knew very quickly that direct to consumer, with the built-in audience that I had, with the need that was out there, with the earned media that we were getting, was going to be our best bet. And then from there,
plus you were the Gun TV host.
I mean, no, but it shut down before I could actually sell them on live TV. So that plan failed, But we were working with influencers long before influencer marketing was really a thing, and that's actually what.
Isn't it wild how influencing it's everything now?
Well, it is and it isn't. Like, people are getting burnt out on being hawked products from people. And so we have seen not the major influencers be our biggest driver of sales. It's more these like micro influencers. And there's just something to being out there and being in front of people constantly over and over again. It's why I did so much just media. I was on every news. I was just constantly going on every single news show. If there was ever, a female jogger in the news that got murdered, which unfortunately over the last several years has been quite a few. I was out there speaking to it and commenting on that, or commenting on anything that had to do with protecting our Second Amendment rights. Through the lens of women need to be able to protect themselves. And so it was just such a different voice that the media loved having me on to talk about it, because it's very different than, just having a man
probably
up there.
Weren't on The View. I'm guessing you probably...
I am going to put this out there right now. I would love to go on The View if they want to have me on. I would love to have a conversation with those women, and a productive conversation, because I hear them spew stats and facts that aren't facts, and I would love to just be able to set the record straight. And I think I could do a wonderful job of that. So, I would love to. If you're listening and you're watching this show, please have me on, because I would love to come and talk about it. Yeah. Or I'll just start my own shows and, get to talk about these issues that are, important to me and millions of other women in this country.
Well, it's awesome what you're doing. And I think that's it. Business entrepreneurship is always, to me, filling a gap where there's opportunity, right? And you have created a gap and you have filled it, and that's where you do well in business, is by going to areas that do not have competition or are being
I will say there's a lot of competition now. A lot of people.
Is there a lot of people trying to copy what you've been doing?
And it's very flattering, because they were like, well, I guess everybody wants to have guns in their leggings, and we've seen a lot of companies pop up and do it. And quite frankly, I haven't found a competitor that I would wear. And that's not a knock on them. It's just they don't take the details into consideration that we put into our clothing. And I get it, because they want to cost save, and there is a market for undercutting costs. There's always going to be. That's what's great about the free market. Competition is great. It helps us continue to innovate, but there is one thing that we will not sacrifice on: the quality of our clothes. That does put us at a higher price point, which we knew once competition entered into the market, it was going to be a lot harder for us to keep up with the volume that we were doing because of that. But what I tell you is people that go and buy the competitors, one of two things happen. They either wear it and it falls apart on them really quickly, and they're like, well, all these concealed carry stink, and I'm never going to give it another try. Why am I spend $100? Or it's well, you know what? Maybe I should have spent the extra money and, just given it a try. Not gone for the faux Lexos, but gone for the Alexos.
Mm-hmm. always told my wife back in the day, I'm like, don't go to like the cheap, just buy the nice stuff.
I know, but fast fashion is such a thing right now. And people don't understand that we are competing with the Amazons. Like people expect Amazon service from small businesses that don't have all the infrastructure or the staff dedicated.
I cannot get you my hat tomorrow between 4 and 8 a.m. If you order it this afternoon. It's not going to happen.
And it really hurts us when you return products. Like I do everything that I can to like try to reduce our return rate. And we have a really below average return rate, which is great. The products fit great. And we'll replace anything that's defective, obviously. But like I can't compete with Amazon. And I also can't compete with their pricing. And I also am not going to put my stuff on Amazon because of the percentage that they charge and take from me. Plus they allow returns whenever for what. Like I can't compete with that. And it's hard. And then you deal a lot with Chinese factories. So we did try to make here in America. And they stole our money and our product and almost put us out of business. So interestingly enough, like we had a family, Chinese-American family who were really good friends with that live in the States, but her family was in manufacturing. So they saved our business. Like they gave us super low minimums. They bankrolled us for like a year after that happened, and they become extremely good partners. The problem is, and you will always have this when you produce overseas, they can take your molds, they can take your IP. They don't have to follow our IP that, if you have a trademark or if you have a patent or a patent pending, they don't have to follow that.
Yeah, they don't care.
And they can take it, they can use all your extra fabric, and then they can sell it on Amazon for $25. People don't understand that. And so it's like, and then that gets rolled into my cost as a small business. And then I'm the one that has to charge $100 just to try to make a profit and turn over some business here,
The fun parts of being an entrepreneur.
That's right. The fun. Oh, it is so fun. It is so much fun, though. Like the rewards of it.
The rewards are great.
The rewards are great. And, it's just the opportunity that this has provided has been so much fun. We're really at a stage in our business now where everything kind of runs and operates on its own, which is great because it's freed me up to do just more stuff that I love on the media side and get me back into that. I actually started working with, I don't know if you remember Parler, like the social media company. It's provided just really great opportunities. And so now I'm actually...
You were hanging out with Tucker for the last 2 or 3 months.
Like what? Like what is this life? I know. I mean, honestly, I love it. I love it, but at the same time, like at the end of the day, like all I want to go do is be with my kids. I mean, but I will say like all of this has afforded me the ability to do that, with my children. But yeah, hanging out with Tucker for the last month was really cool. And not just Tucker. I mean, it was... brought people around from all over. I'd have to say Russell Brand. So Parler was one of the main sponsors for the Tucker Carlson tour.
Right.
And this was the opportunity to have these live conversations across the country because right now we are facing serious censorship. And Tucker said it perfectly. He said, it's very hard to censor a live conversation. So his goal in all of this was to have these conversations with people from all kinds of backgrounds and just have a place where the people sitting in the audience could actually hear these conversations, see what's going on with the country. So we had everybody from Russell Brand to...
Who it's wild, the transformation that guy has made.
Wild. Like, and he is a... wild character.
He's a wild character.
Like so interesting. I loved meeting him. I got to spend more time with him. He came on 2 legs of the tour. I actually ate dinner with him on the second one.
He like said a prayer, right? Like
both times. Yeah, both times.
You're just like, this is the same guy.
It was wild. I know. And people loved it. I mean, it was great. Like he was wonderful. RFK Jr. showed up as a surprise guest, I think on a couple of them. He was great.
Yes.
Vivek Ramaswamy, Megyn Kelly.
Wow.
Loved,
did you get to hang out with Megyn a little bit or?
Not really. Hang out. I mean, like I talked to her. I got photos and stuff with her. But a lot of them were like in the zone before they go out there and have to talk to everybody.
Roseanne.
I did not get to meet Roseanne. She was there, but I did not get to meet her. I'm trying to think. I met pretty much. I went on like 8 of them. And I tell everybody, I said one of the neatest things was that Tucker was in a different city virtually every night of the week. not once did he give the same speech, and not once did he use a teleprompter.
No kidding.
Not once. Yep. It was a completely different speech every single time.
Wow.
And I'm like, that is the difference between somebody understanding, speaking from their heart, truly believing what they believe and speaking it first. I mean, of course, I was contrasting it to some of our presidential candidates who refuse to speak without a teleprompter. It upsets me when anybody speaks from a teleprompter. Like, I mean, I understand there's probably like times for it, but when you're like addressing people, you want to know what you believe in order to make informed decisions. That teleprompter is just very insincere.
It's very fake.
It's very fake, and people can pick up on it very quickly, and that was not the case with Tucker. There's a reason why he is like the number one guy in media right now, because he gets it.
Pretty incredible.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah.
I mean, I remember watching Tucker when he first got his gig, on Fox.
Yep.
And then I used to watch Fox News all the time.
Yeah.
And then I realized over time, like, it just makes me angry if I watch it all night long. But I would continue to watch Tucker because I thought he was just fascinating.
Well, we're seeing that, like, people want to pit right and left media against each other. But if you really think about it, like, both sides are to blame for
sure
where we are in the state of this society, where 100%. Everyone's yelling at each other and nobody knows how to have constructive conversations. And I think
that's a bad thing.
It's a bad place to be in our country, because that's what makes our country so special. The ability to debate, the ability to criticize, especially the government and government policies. And I think when we talk about the censorship that's happening and the attack on our freedom of speech, actually, like the attack just on our freedoms in general, what's going on, I mean, it's scary. And people have to understand that you could wake up one day and that right is completely stripped away from you. And the implications that have is really terrifying, because if you don't have the free flow of information, you don't know what information you're being fed is actually real or not. Like, if you don't have the ability to go out and debate and discuss like policies that are coming down the pipeline.
Right.
How do we progress?
Right.
How do we innovate? How do we make change when we only have access to one set of information that one group of people wants to completely control?
Right.
Like, that's terrifying. That's what happens in authoritarian countries. You know, that's what happens when the leader wants to be rule with totalitarianism. And that is what has separated America. That is that fundamental freedom that our founding fathers came here to fight for. They put it in the Constitution, and now that is completely under attack, and it's really scary.
Well, what's really scary also is just how divided we are as a nation. I think, honestly, and I'm going to point fingers because I will, but when Obama got into office, that was before him, there was typically compromise between both parties to get things passed in Congress. And now it's just you vote on party lines.
Yeah.
There's no compromising of, hey, I see your side.
Yeah.
You see my side.
Yep.
Let's meet in the middle for the good of America, right? Yep. And instead, it's just we're gonna vote down party lines, and because of it, you look and Congress has like a 20% approval rating. Yeah. Because America is fed up with it.
Well, but also I'll say this. I mean, now working as the spokesperson for a free speech social media platform, the way that my eyes have been opened into the role that social media and big tech has played in all of this, because what people don't understand is how the algorithms are created and set to intentionally manipulate the information that you see.
Right.
Or the information that you don't see.
Right.
And it really is by design. And it has happened over the last decade or so to where we've all moved into this place to where we think, okay, I'm seeing all this information. I guess everybody else is seeing that information too. Right. And you start thinking that everyone thinks the same way as you do. And you start limiting your ability to have discourse. And it's why Parler was started in the first place. Because before Parler, people were starting to say, like, raise an alarm, like, you know what? I don't think my account's reaching as many people. And I wonder why. What type of content am I putting out there that this social media platform doesn't like? And it's really been hard to put our fingers on because for a lot of times we might get violations or flags of saying, like, they have very ambiguous community guidelines on these platforms, which they can use to weaponize, anything that they want. They can shut down your account if they don't, they used to tell my company all the time, like, you're promoting violence and the sale of weapons. And I'm like, nope, I just sell pants and you can put whatever you want to in there. No way to appeal that. No process I can appeal that. Right. And it wasn't just that. People started to see it when they were trying to post information about the COVID vaccines, about alternative treatments during COVID. Then it really got to a pinnacle when people were talking about the Hunter Biden laptop problem. Like, oh, this is misinformation.
Right.
Government doesn't want you posting about that. Shut it down now, or we're going to take your, we're going to take your platform offline. X, whatever it was.
Yep.
And so in 2020, when Trump got kicked off of X, it was very apparent that there needs to be alternatives.
Yeah.
And who was going to solve that problem? I mean, so Parler was the very first technically free speech platform that was out there.
Right.
The problem with the first one was that they didn't own any of their tech. They had to put their cloud server with AWS, and they had to, everyone, if you want to have an app, you got to be in the Google or the Apple store, right? But by doing that, you say, yes, I will abide by your community guidelines, right? And then if Apple and Google decides you're not, or your users are not, and you are not moderating it to the degree that they want you to moderate it, well, guess what? They'll just kick you out of their app store.
Right.
And AWS will shut you down off their cloud server. And that is exactly what happened with Parler. And yet it showed people that there was a marketplace for this, that people wanted alternatives. They wanted this free flow of information. That's why you started to see things like Truth Social, Rumble, and then Elon buy Twitter and turn it into X.
Yeah.
And so what we've learned from there, Parler switched hands a few times, the new owners, but first and foremost, we're a tech company. And this is why Parler has the ability to succeed far beyond any of these other platforms, because they own their cloud.
Right.
So that gives you, the user, data privacy, security, means they can't get shut down at the whims of Jeff Bezos or whoever else is running their cloud. We still have that like workaround with Google and Apple Store. They could shut you off, but what we did was also make the web version, so you can always access your account through the web. It's these important little things. Actually, it's a really big thing to be autonomous with your technology, because now you're not beholden to. When you hear scary things like Kamala Harris saying that we need to use law enforcement to stop extremism and hate on social media platforms, well, who's deciding what extremism is?
That's right.
Who's deciding what hateful speech? If you want to be someone that speaks out against, I don't know, what they're doing to trans children, and they deem that as hateful speech.
That's right.
Well, they now want to, throw you in jail?
Right.
That's terrifying. That's like terrifying. What they're doing in the UK.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. That's terrifying.
And that's coming to America. You have a potential presidential candidate out there advocating for the weaponization of social media. That's terrifying. We haven't seen that in our country before. You have Tim Walz out there saying that misinformation is not protected under the First Amendment. Yes, it is. All information is protected under the First Amendment. It's freedom of speech. Let the people decide what information they want to hear and then what they want to do with this information. So you can see why this is so important. People always ask, what can I do to fight back against this? Well, you can not stop speaking up.
Right.
You got to speak up. You've got to speak out, and you've got to find alternative platforms. I would recommend people get on Parler because it's the only one that you've got these protections, that it's not going to be shut down, and they're not taking your data and selling it to third parties. Right. Do you know how much Facebook makes off of you as you're sitting there scrolling on Instagram?
I don't even want to know.
Should. It's probably around $5,000 per person per month.
No way.
And they have billions of users on their platform, and they are taking around 25,000 data points per person and selling that to advertisers. Do you see any of that money?
No.
How many hours do you spend on social media? My point exactly. So what Parler is doing is they're flipping that script. They said, you know what? We are not going to make our users the product. We're going to make our users the beneficiaries. And so what they are doing is that they will actually reward you through a digital reward system by just liking, commenting, sharing, and participating, doing what you would already be doing on these other platforms, except they're stealing your data and selling it. Parler is not doing that. Wow. In fact, in the future, when we start to actually build out the advertising system, you get to opt in. And if you opt into having advertisers advertise to you, you get rewarded for that. You'll start to see more of your, more digital rewards, more points go into your wallet. So I highly encourage everybody. We just launched the Parler Pay wallet, which is what you have to secure before you can actually start earning your digital rewards. It's super easy. If you go download Parler right now.
Are you CEO of Parler yet?
I'm not. No, you know what?
She's well on her way, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I just love to talk about it because I'm very passionate about this because I experienced this censorship firsthand. I don't want to see entrepreneurs or really any other content creators that have a different perspective and a different voice be censored anymore. I'm tired of that. The only thing that we will moderate on Parler, and I'm proud of this, is that it is a pornography-free platform. Right. So they are not allowing, we are taking a stand against human trafficking and child trafficking. We know that pornography is a gateway to that, and it's just not allowed on the platform. Got other places that you can go and get that, but just not on Parler. And so I'm proud of that. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of really neat things that Parler is doing. If you haven't given it a chance, check it out. Go check it out. Eventually, you'll be able to buy Alexo on the Parler marketplace.
Maybe a great state hat too.
Hopefully, we can get you on there tomorrow. We'll get on Easy. There. And then the cool thing is those digital rewards that you're earning, you'll be able to start using those in practical ways towards the products that you see through the Parler marketplace.
That's super cool.
A lot of cool things in the works. I'm really excited to be a part of it and hope that the new people that come to Parler have a totally different experience on Parler.
So what's your
what they've had in the past?
What's your plan? Like, what are you gonna be doing next with Parler? Like, what is your what is your role?
Look, I've always loved being able to tell stories and to help shape narratives on where companies are going. I think Parler 1.0 got a bad rap in the media. And it was not their fault. It's the media's biased against them. But the new Parler is a totally different company and it is going in such a huge different direction. I want to be able to just help continue to build the community that's there. And I hope to bring in the things I love to do through the media. I've got a show starting here soon that's going to sit down with people. And I have so many different industries that I have been in that I love to connect people from every single industry, hear their stories, hear about what makes them click. And I hope that people see this is a different audience that's on Parler than what was on it before. And everyone has a place here. Everybody can join together. And so I just really hope to continue to use the things that I'm passionate about with media, with social media in general. I hope that the next wave of entrepreneurs find a home in Parler and find that they have a lot easier opportunity to grow, to make as much money as they want to make, because we're not going to censor them. We're not going to tell you that, now you can't sell firearms through our marketplace. There's again, state regulation. You can't sell legal items in our marketplace. Right. But, if you are selling other products like hats, and clothes, then, and you've got a great idea and you want to change somebody's life, we want to be a home for all this next wave of entrepreneurs. Aren't going to have to live under these weird, ambiguous community guidelines. And we map it all out for you.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So that's what I hope to do. And I hope also just to be able to continue to help millions and millions of people every single day.
You do so many different things.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, thank you.
What I like to do, Amy, is close with what I call the C-suite closers.
Okay.
So these are little quick hitting questions.
Okay. Let's do it.
That people will find interesting.
Okay.
So what's something that most people don't know about you?
Oh, that I love to sing and that I am a big karaoke singer, and my go-to karaoke is
let's hear it.
Is "What a Man" by Salt and Pepper.
Ooh,
because what a man, thank you, millennial baby, right here. Yeah, I had to change. After this whole Diddy thing came out, we all had to change our playlist. Had to take Diddy off my playlist. Had to take him off of my karaoke playlist.
Diddy.
Yeah, man. He really ruined a lot of millennial moms' after-school drop-off playlists. So
now, does the karaoke go on at bars and restaurants, or is this mainly a private? I'll
do the bars and restaurants.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. I will. Mm-hmm.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Most impactful book you've read other than the Bible?
Oh. well, of course you're going to say like, most impactful book I have read other than, gosh, that's a hard one because I feel like I read so many different genres of books that impact me in very different ways. There's been impactful marketing books that I've read. It's been impactful leadership. I would say like
just anything that comes to mind.
Really anything Maxwell. I love his leadership books.
Okay.
I don't even remember who wrote the marketing book that I read recently that I really loved called Made to Stick, and being able to set yourself apart in an oversaturated industry. Obviously, that was very relevant to what we were going through. I'm also reading the Rich Dad Poor Dad series right now on real estate investing. And I find it interesting because as we are moving, I'm in a technology space. It's about to be integrating into the blockchain. And I think it's so interesting because the blockchain space to me was extremely confusing.
Yeah.
And I listen to the Rich Dad Poor Dad podcast, actually.
Yes.
And even he is like, I stay away from things that I don't understand.
Yeah.
And he's really done a deep dive, obviously, into real estate. But I'm like, is the real estate investing market even the same anymore? Like, are the opportunities there? Or do investors have to start thinking in a very different way? I don't know if you can still apply the same principles that, what is it, Robert Kiyosaki applied. I mean, like, we just live in such a different time now. But I still love learning about the pioneers and the people who did come up with these theories, and just so I can learn about what they did. And then as we learn about the new technologies that are going to be available, like, how does that shape your investing strategy and your investing mentality? So
that's a good question.
Yeah.
I already heard about Salt and Peppa, but who else is on your Spotify playlist?
I
mean,
mean,
give me your top 3 bands.
Right now, the only things on my Spotify playlist are I like to Move It from Madagascar. I mean, it's all going to be kids
stuff,
but also Greatest Showman because I'm trying to introduce my kids to the greats.
Yep.
And we're such a big Broadway family, so I've got the Greatest Showman on there, Madagascar, and oh goodness, the kids are always fighting over who gets to pick. My son loves to listen to the Spider-Man soundtrack, and then my daughter is on like a Beauty and the Beast kick right this second. So.
My son loves Ghostbusters. He
really?
Loves the song Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Like, it's on repeat at my house right now. The other funny one that he loves right now is he's such a fan of like trucks and farm equipment and stuff like that. Are you
into Blippi or are you into truck tunes?
He loves Blippi. He also loves Handyman Hal.
Yep.
So John Deere Green. Do you remember this song?
No.
It's like from the 90s.
Okay.
It's a Joe Diffie song. John Deere Green. It's unbelievable. But he loves it.
I love it.
If you could have coffee with one historical or famous figure, who would you choose?
Oh, goodness. And not Jesus? Are you taking Jesus off of that list too?
Well, we love Jesus.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
But everybody
Jesus.
will say Jesus
we'll
or the
get
Bible.
to have coffee with him one day.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
wine.
That's right.
Oh man, I wish you prepped me beforehand with.
Well, these are the quick hitters.
I know. The quick hitters. I think. Gosh, is it a musical figure, a historical figure? There are like some queens I think I would like to talk to. Maybe Queen Elizabeth.
Queen Elizabeth, yeah. I mean, you're a queen.
I just want to know, like, I want to know their pressures. I want to know, like, how they didn't cave under pressure. How there's so many things that I would just die to ask them and figure out. Yeah.
If you could live anywhere else in the world, where would it be?
Oh, okay. So there's this. I actually thought a lot about this.
Okay.
With the election coming up.
Oh, no. We're going to have a positive result.
No. Well, I mean, I think it's something to... People on both sides of the aisle are asking this question right now, right? And I'm always interested in, like, where would you go? I mean, like, if you hate Trump, where are you going to go?
I guess
if you hate Kamala, like, where are you going to go?
That's right.
I don't know. I love Costa Rica. So there is this beautiful area in Costa Rica. I'm not going to give away the name of it because it's still a little bit of a hidden gem.
Love that.
But also westernized to where you have the comforts and amenities. Like what people don't understand, if you have not traveled outside of the US very much, we have it really good here in America.
Yeah.
Really good. And I know Europe is beautiful.
Sure.
I know there are places in Italy that, you know, probably I'd love to go. But like when it comes down to where I would want to live and do life, like I'm probably not picking a whole lot of places outside the US because we just have it so good. But I do like, I could make it in Costa Rica.
Now,
I don't know if my husband could with the mosquitoes.
Is it along the coast or are you in the jungle?
It is. It's along the coastline. And it's beautiful area.
We'll talk about it off.
You also can have they recognize your right to defend yourself there. So you actually can take your firearms and get a concealed carry license. And there's not a lot of other countries out there that allow women to protect themselves. And so that would be, South Africa does. But they're also the number one rape culture in the entire world, so probably not going to pick that. But I do want to go somewhere that does recognize like property rights, individual rights and liberties. And I mean, like it's just hard to find that anywhere else outside of America.
Favorite restaurant in Dallas-Fort Worth? Where are you going? If you only have one meal left.
I do love me. So our go-to is Chamberlain's. We love Richard Chamberlain.
Really?
Just good personal family friend.
Beautiful space in there. Feels good in Chamberlain's.
You know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
It's consistent every single time.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to get dressed up and like go somewhere fancy, like I love Monarch. I love pre-drinks at Catbird. Great place to go. Great scenery.
Yeah.
But I love Monarch. I think Monarch is delicious. That lobster ravioli is just like... Or is it lobster linguine? I can't remember. No, it's linguine. Yeah, it's the long noodles. It's not the ravioli. Yeah.
The last thing I like to close with is making an impact on others. What are some of your favorite charities or things that you're involved with?
Oh, actually a lot of them in the Dallas area. So Dallas specifically, Genesis Women's Shelter is one that I love and have been involved with. We've been involved with the Crystal Charity Ball. And goodness, like there's so many different.
Oh, those are two great ones. We don't have to list a ton.
Well, I mean, they're great ones. And, you know, I'm involved with a lot of organizations that like give to different charities and, you know, just try. I might not always be the ones to get to roll my sleeves up and go and do it. I still think it's important to fund and support these groups that are helping everything from, Brian's House is one that I absolutely love. We have special needs children in our family, and what Brian's House does is just phenomenal. Then Youth World down in Dallas. We actually do go and serve down there with our Alexo team. We serve with the MCBA. That's one thing I've loved about MCBA is that they make volunteering very easy for your groups. But Youth World is a fantastic organization that we go on. We bag up groceries every Thanksgiving together as a team and go help and serve the community. So,
and if you haven't heard of MCBA, look it up. It's the Metroplex Civic and Business Organization. An incredible organization that's does a lot of different civic events. It's just business leaders throughout DFW. And at the end of the day, it's just getting all your employees registered to vote.
And getting you involved in the community. It is. And also like understanding the local issues, like how you can be involved in the local issues. I don't think people realize, and it might not be like this in every state, but in Texas, our local elections are nonpartisan.
Right.
So in November, this is just a quick plug for local elections, how to make Dallas great again.
There you go.
There are some really big initiatives on the ballot. And if you just down ballot vote, let's say you vote Republican or Democrat, and you just push that Democrat button, the Republican button, it stops at your local elections. It doesn't go all the way down. You have to hand pick each one. So it would, benefit you to know what is on your ballot. And you guys in Dallas have some very big initiatives.
For sure.
STNU in particular.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, I think we all want more police force, and
I want Dallas to be safer. I mean, you're speaking my language right here. When
Well, I mean, listen, one of the reasons why you live up north is, right, like you have a safer community up there.
Yes, our response time is 2 to 3 minutes. Your response time in Dallas is like 8 to 2 hours. And I love how they categorize, violent crimes versus nonviolent crimes. But like almost violent crimes don't quite count for violent crimes. So you can't call 911. You still have to call this hotline. And then that's like a 2-hour waiting list. I'm like, a nonviolent crime can turn into a violent crime very quickly.
Right.
It'd be nice to have some help if you don't carry.
And even, like my neighborhood, we pay for off-duty police officers to patrol because the city isn't doing their job.
I know.
Right?
They can't. They're understaffed. They're overworked. They're like the mental health of our police officers. It's really sad.
That was eye-opening.
Eye-opening, right?
Last month.
Very eye-opening. Yeah. I mean, just all these things. Like cops want to go up to Plano. They make $12,000 more and they get to do traffic stops.
That's right.
Like,
why would you not?
Why would you not? Our cops in Frisco are more concerned if my inspection sticker is out and,
Well, we could get into a whole genre about the city of Dallas and even how this came about. But there's so many things that are broke. And that's why Plano, Frisco, Prosper, Salina, that's why all that area is growing so much is because they're winning all the corporate relocations, right?
And why you got to get involved. You've got to pay attention and you've got to get involved. Just because Dallas is big doesn't mean your vote doesn't matter. In fact, just the opposite.
Matters more.
So few people vote.
So few people.
That if you do go let your voice be heard, it actually can make a difference.
100%.
And if people
do you know this? I can't remember the stat, but how many people voted in the local?
It was like 7%, I think, in the last local election. Now, to be fair, there was a bond on there. There was some proposition. Now, higher vote when it's like your mayor and your city council, but not by much. I mean, we're still probably looking at 10,
it's a joke.
Less than 10% people weigh in on who their mayor and their city council, their school board members, their well, and the amount of people that weighed in on this bond, the new $1 billion bond.
Yes.
You guys get upset when your taxes get raised or, whatever, and you didn't go vote. You didn't let your voice be heard. So,
Well, so there's the plug. Go check out MCBA.
Go check out MCBA.
We'll make Dallas great again.
Go make Dallas great again. We need. I would say make Frisco, McKinney great again, but we're doing pretty good right now.
Pretty good.
We're doing pretty good. We got a surplus every year. I mean, we're doing
all right.
Fairly good right now. No, we can't get complacent. You don't want to
get complacent.
You still got to be involved, but
that's right.
I do see all your hats over there, and
we got a few.
Yeah, they're great.
I don't know if you can ever make Austin great again, though. We might have lost.
They might be too far gone.
They might be too far gone.
I don't, and I think that's why we're trying to do what we're doing in Dallas, so we can turn this shit back. And I'm not even in Dallas, but I care enough about Dallas, I care about the businesses. I love going to Dallas, and I want to make Dallas.
Hey, Monarch, it's in Dallas.
It is.
You got to come down here.
You do. And, we got to make it to where people want to bring their businesses. They want to bring their restaurants. And then you got to make it to where the people actually want to get out of the suburbs and go to downtown Dallas, which kind of is a little terrifying sometimes because it's not safe.
You're not going to Deep Ellum these days, are you?
Drop $700 on dinner. I don't want my life to feel threatened between the.
Just go to Legacy West. It's got everything up there.
It's got everything up there. So I want the full experience, and there's no reason why we can't have that in Dallas.
For sure. Well, if we raise up Dallas, it raises up everybody else too. So
it does. It does. Yep. You're absolutely right. So thank you for what you're doing too.
Well, I do what I can. Amy, thank you so much for coming on today.
This is fun. Thank you for having me.
You're the best. Thank you so much.